Absolutely. John, gotta know. I'm going to start talking about the game a little bit. What does the Notre Dame team look like this season? And what are some of the main stories for the Irish as we head into this college football season?
Yeah, you know, it's really interesting. Year one of Marcus Freeman was a challenge in nearly every way. The one contention I have is, and I have to push back on my show with this narrative a little bit, is a lot of people were telling you Freeman inherited this stacked roster from Brian Kelly, and it was a 10-11 win roster that he inherited, and it should just be off to the races. Even entering that roster was flawed. Okay. There was bad recruiting, bad development. I mean, when we played you guys last year, we had like two scholarship wide receivers that were even available to play. It just, I mean, there was some really bad recruiting and development. And nobody knew that more than Brian Kelly, by the way, because he was the architect of that. And there is an element of he knew what was coming down the road, and I'm see you later type deal.
Why does a rat desert the ship?
Yeah. So he was responsible for allowing, he himself wasn't the most intense recruiter, didn't like to put miles on the private jet kind of guy, liked to recruit from the golf course a little too much for my comfort. But he hired some guys that weren't recruiting either. So there were a lot of holes there. But the real issue was the starting quarterback went down before the halftime of game 2 last year. That right there screwed the whole year up, and everything else was just fighting and clawing to be able to win the game you're in, and you couldn't think of anything bigger or broader. That was really unfortunate. And even if Tyler Buckner didn't get injured, he was on his first year as the starter. You didn't know if he was going to be any good, even if he was in one piece, let alone the fact that he ended up not being. So once he went down, we had to go to Drew Pine, who could have doubled as a lollipop kid in The Wizard of Oz. Couldn't see. I'm serious. He couldn't see over the line. He got eight passes batted down per game. He should have never even been at Notre Dame. I don't, whatever. It's not his fault. He was trying his best, but he was severely physically limited. You add in those other roster holes, and it was a little iffy. And so you had some struggles there, and we were behind the eight ball. Losing to Marshall and Stanford were just no shows. There's no answer to that. If they lose the other two to you guys and USC, 10-2, injured quarterback, everybody probably could have dealt with that year one. The Marshall and Stanford no shows, both at home, both like 17.5-point favorites. There was just no rhyme or reason for that other than the fact that I was there both those weeks. So maybe it's my fault. But that was last year. So it's really hard to gauge where it was at last year when you had all these roster issues and the quarterback went down. Now everything shifted, and it's like, they always talk about a team's jump from week 1 to week 2 in their performance. And it's like, how much more are we going to see out of Marcus Freeman year 1 to year 2? How much of that roster was he able to flip over and backfill some of those dire needs with depth? And it's like, what are we going to get now? And there's just a lot of anxiety about it. Everybody's in the middle here, kind of excited, but kind of nervous. You want to see where it's going to go. I think the one big advantage is Sam Hartman. That was a big, big deal getting him. He's not Caleb Williams level, but for the best quarterback in the portal to want to be at Notre Dame was a big get for us and to fill that need for this year. So we're hopeful that is going to be the tide that raises all ships, that you'll see a big difference. You guys, it's been a very long time since Notre Dame had an offense that stressed the defense everywhere. They could run the ball on you. They could pass the ball on you. The last handful of years, it has been pile up on the line to stop the run, guard the great tight end, and then you beat Notre Dame. You shut them down. That has been our offense. There's been no consistent downfield threat, none of that stuff. Quick strike scores, no, forget it. So we are hoping that Sam Hartman is the tide that raises all those ships. And then we kind of go from there. So, but there's some anxiety. Everybody's just kind of anxious. It's year 2, but it feels like year 1 in certain ways. And so everybody's in wait and see mode again.
To piggyback off of that, here's a question from Donald Hoffer. What kind of offense do you think Notre Dame will run this year with Gerald Parker as OC and Sam Hartman as the quarterback?
Yeah, I think, listen, Notre Dame's always going to want to run the ball. All right. It's like what they want to be. We have a good tradition of, like you guys are with wide receivers, with tight ends and offensive linemen. We have a pretty good lineage of putting those guys in the league and getting very high level play out of them. So Notre Dame's, there's some of my guys. D-Rock Irish, good to see you. Thanks for being here. And so they're going to want to run the ball, and they're going to want to do that. They're going to want to use the tight ends. But we're all going, are we actually going to see like downfield passing? Like that is a foreign concept to us. The idea that you have guys that you're hitting in stride across the middle of the field, like we're not used to that. So I think you're going to see a desire to run the ball, use the tight end. But I think they're also going to try and throw it a little bit because they finally have a guy that could do it. And they did a really good job recruiting wide receiver, which was an area they had no bodies. A pretty good job of filling that room back up with some guys that could play. So you're still going to see a lot of running the ball using the tight end. But with Hartman, the idea is we're going to be able to add that passing element threat to where you can't just sell out close to the line and beat us. And we're open. That's what we see. That's what Hartman's here for. We better see it.
Let's talk Marcus Freeman a little bit. Former Buckeye comes in, tells all of you all that he doesn't want to make the same mistake.
I know.
Kind of riled us up a little bit there.
You know what?
We're a little fired up over that one, Eric.
Yeah.
You want to know what I was thinking about this last night because I knew this was going to come up.
All right.
The entire time he's been at Notre Dame, under Kelly as the DC and then getting the job, that is like the only thing anybody has negative to say about him ever that I've heard ever. And it isn't even that bad. That's a good compliment to Marcus Freeman. I think he was trying to, kind of beef up the Notre Dame position a little bit and kind of prove that he's one of us now, one of those deals. But I'm telling you guys, I love Marcus Freeman. He is so genuine and open and like just he doesn't have the personality most of these big football coaches have, all about ego, all about themselves, all about how they look. Like he is so genuine and so open, and that fits Notre Dame's vibe. Like it just fits kind of how we are. So personality-wise, everybody loves him. I have not heard anybody that has a bad word to say about the guy. He is as genuine as the day is long. And unlike Kelly, I can honestly say I know Marcus Freeman is recruiting Notre Dame 100% as hard as he can every single day. You could never say that under Kelly. It just wasn't out in his DNA to be that way. And so I respect that. I know that guy's working nonstop. The issue is, if you could just tell Freeman, go do what you need to do, this would be a home run. The issue is, Freeman doesn't have all that power. Even the Notre Dame AD does not have that power. They have that group of powerful administrators above them that have to sign off on everything. And I think one of the biggest worries with Freeman is he's getting a lot of elite guys interested. And when they get in that room and they're going, what are you going to do for us with the dough? And Notre Dame's not willing to play that game the way others are, we're not going to get those guys. And that is the wall Freeman's bumping into right damn now. And last year it happened. That is an issue. That is a big issue. He is getting these guys on campus interested. They could get the grades. But when it comes down to that money part, Notre Dame doesn't play that the way these other schools do. And then these guys just go, all right, thanks, but no thanks. See ya. And so that's a big, big issue, because how do you ever get over the hump without getting the dudes? And it's not lack of effort. It's not lack of interest. It's just those administrators think it's below them to do a lot of the out front NIL, the very public stuff. It's like the holier than thou that people don't like about Notre Dame. That's it in practice. That's it in practice. And there's no change in that group of millionaire and billionaires' minds. Like, they are made up and they have how they want to do it. So that is the issue. I think most of us feel he's going to get better as being a head coach, been around winners. He was a player. He'll pick up the nuance of being a head coach. It's just, where are you going to go if you don't let him get those guys and play that game? I'm not saying pay for play, but like big, fat, good NIL deals that appeal to people even. Notre Dame's too resistant to. Cost us 3 5-stars in last year's class. All 3 of them would have been starting against you guys. 2 of them were committed. 1 of them was a silent, and then other people offered him stuff in the last hours. We wouldn't. Lost all 3 of them. So I don't like the idea that Freeman's a hostage in that regard, where if he just can't offer it, how do you get over that hump? So personality-wise, love him. He'll get better as an on-field coach. But getting that top-end talent is going to be an issue because he's bumping up against those administrative restrictions.
Yeah, Larry, I think I just posted your question there. I think he just answered the majority of that. Marcus Freeman is kind of on a timeline there where he's doing all he can. A lot of Notre Dame fans are big time on his recruiting. They're very happy with that. His hands are tied. Yeah. We saw the similar thing here over in Buckeye Land with Ryan Day a little bit, and Ryan Day took it to the media and said, "I need $13 million to keep my players here."
Yep.
And he got it. And now we have 2 NIL collectives, and look at all the talent we're bringing in this year, because when they come in to recruit on their over the weekend, they'll tour the facilities, they'll talk to all the coaches, they'll get everything like that. And then they get to go tour the city. And when they go tour the city, they get to meet with the collectives, and the collectives say, "Here's what we can offer you. Is anybody offering you more?" No.
Tour the city. Oh,
tour the city.
To be at this restaurant we're eating at. What a coincidence. Yeah.
So Donald Hopper says it looks like Marcus Freeman is pretty much being micromanaged a little bit.
I'm not going to go that far, but I do know that Marcus knows the modern realities of this, and he's trying to fight to get some of those changes made. Brady Quinn is a big part of one of the Notre Dame collectives. He's modern enough and well enough respected that he's trying to help with some of it, but none of this stuff moves quickly at Notre Dame. Like, they move late to a lot of things. It's just how they react. Very reactionary in that way. But the big fear I have is Marcus Freeman works his butt off, recruits as hard as he can, and he gets frustrated. Like, I don't know what else I could do. Yet, like, I have these guys interested, but I just can't do what it's going to take. Does he get to a point where he's like, this is my reputation as a coach. If they're not giving me what I need, I'm going to look for somebody that will. And then he gets the training wheels out of the way at Notre Dame about to be a head coach. And then somebody tells him, come on over to us and we're not holding you back and you can really win and get whatever you need for NIL. Don't worry about grades or whatever. You know, he could get that kind of offer somewhere. So I just don't want it to get to a point where he feels like I'm doing all I could do and I can't get over the hump. I got to do something else. That would be my big picture fear. I think we're really far away from that, but it is in my mind.